But Kevole, you brought up a clown show in the NHL. But there's a clown show going on in the NFL right now. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody's making memes, GIFs, videos. Their own player, Jesse James, the road dog Jesse James, is going out there, and he's saying, we're like the Kardashians of the NFL. And Antonio Brown is having a press conference with James Harrison. I know, Kevole, you're sitting over there, you're laughing, you're having fun because you've seen this coming pretty much back a few years here on the Bottom Line View, ever since we've documented it. So I know you're over here saying, I told you so, I told you so. So why don't you tell the people you told them, and also what you think of this situation with Antonio Brown?
Well, let's look back at what the Pittsburgh Steelers have been. They have been a team of Jerome Bettis, Joe Green, Hines Ward. They've been this team that has kept everything inside. It has been, you wear the Pittsburgh Steeler jersey, you wear the Pittsburgh Steeler helmet, and you bleed the black and the gold. That's all you do. It's not about the name on the back. It's about what you're wearing. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers, and frankly, look back. Once Hines Ward left this team, and they gave it to Ben Roethlisberger, this team has turned into an absolute disaster. Look it up. I'm not wrong. Once Hines Ward left, this is the clown show that we've got here. We've got Antonio Brown throwing footballs at Ben, demanding. He's got press conferences. He's got trades demands. You got Le'Veon Bell, who decided to sit out a season instead of play football.
You got Facebook Live. You got Gatorade on the sidelines. You got showing up to meetings late, which is something that recently came out, and Brown never shows up to a meeting on time.
You got Juju Smith-Schuster riding bicycles.
You got Antonio Brown dropping stuff off his hotel, basically his hotel room, just dropping it off for fun.
The problem, this is the thing, is they gave this team to a guy that doesn't want to leave the team, and it's Ben. Ben has been more interested in Ben than he has been the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they knew it because they almost traded this guy when he had that motorbike accident. They almost traded him for the Los Angeles Rams. Look it up. That was a fact. Or the St. Louis Rams back then. They were close to trading him, but they gave him a second chance. This guy has not been the key to the Pittsburgh Steelers' success. Not really. He's been more about himself, and that has permeated in this team. And once Hines Ward left, they put this to Ben. This team has been a disaster. And they put a guy that I'm sorry, Mike Tomlin's too young to be the coach of this team. And he has lost control of this dressing room. And I don't think he's even worried.
Kev, at a certain point, Kev, I know you're going to rip Ben Roethlisberger because that's what you do, and that's fair enough. I think he deserves a lot of blame here. But at a certain point, Mike Tomlin is the head coach.
Yes, of course.
I know he's not the babysitter, but he is the head coach. And when you're the head coach, you have your certain way how you do things. I know I'm going to be all the high and mighty Patriots fan here, but this is just a great example of Bill Belichick, what he does disciplining players. In the first round of the playoffs, back when Wes Welker, even in a press conference, just talked a little trash to Rex Ryan, he sat Wes Welker for the first part of the game in a playoff game. There is nothing. And the Patriots sat Malcolm Butler. We still don't know why they sat Malcolm Butler. So it's kind of like system. It's like the belief in the team. What is the franchise about? And I think the identity of the Patriots has been well known. The identity of the Steelers with Mike Tomlin is that of a clown show. We don't know. There's no discipline in this team. The star players can do whatever they want. They can get away with whatever they want. Ben Roethlisberger can do whatever he wants. Antonio Brown can do whatever he wants. There's no discipline in this team. And when the leaders are not disciplined and they don't know their role and that they're not the king of the castle, there's still players on a football team that there's no player bigger than the team. which is what everybody says about the Patriots. For the Steelers, Ben is bigger than the team. Brown is bigger than the team. Bell is bigger than the team. And that's a big, big reason why they're where they're at. In my opinion, the Steelers this season are the most disappointing team to not make the playoffs in my entire lifespan. Okay? So since I was born, this is the most disappointing team to not make the playoffs. I thought the Steelers were for sure. Look at their talent. And I wanted my friend Mike to come on here to speak to it, but he always says this team should have one Super Bowl at least with this latest run of talent, with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown and Big Ben and all these players they've had. They should have at least one Super Bowl. They have all these talented players, but the coach can't discipline his players, and the players are all about themselves. They're selfish, and we've seen that with Antonio Brown. And as much as people want to talk about, other receivers, other drama receivers like Odell, I've been saying it all along. Antonio Brown's just as bad, if not worse, than players like that. So with Ben and Brown and Bell, I just think the Steelers, they've always lacked the discipline. That's why they lose to crappy teams. That's why they lose to they tie the Browns with Hugh Jackson. They lose to the Raiders. They almost lose to the Bengals with their season on the line. Antonio Brown doesn't even want to play and leaves at halftime when he's on the sideline. It's a joke, honestly. This team was way too talented, and then they just blow up, and now Antonio Brown is potentially going to be traded, even though they're in a situation where they can't trade him because they'll be way too up against the cap, and it's going to cost them a ton of money. So they've stuck themselves in a terrible situation, and I don't know how they're going to get out of it. Dylan, what's your reaction to this situation?
I mean, it's pretty disappointing. First off, as an NFL fan, you look to see the best teams, the best competition, the best players, and they've got great talent, as you guys have obviously brought up. But it feels like they just decided as a group, we're going to go within our own collective systems, we're going to be our own people, and we're never going to be a team, which in a sport like golf, you can do that because you are only your own person. But as a football team that's run by 53 people on a roster, head coaches, bunch of people that are relying on you, it doesn't work like that. And these guys are clearly not team players. A guy like Juju, I feel bad for the guy because what you saw on there week 17, he was out there getting these great plays. He was trying to help his team win a football game in week 17. By the way, I still think it's a little bit of jealousy from AB, the fact that he didn't lead the league, lead his own team in receptions and yards this year. Somebody else like a guy like Juju.
Dylan, I think what Shannon Sharp even said about the point where Antonio Brown loves to win. He's all about the team when he's catching 12 passes for 150 yards and a touchdown. But when he's catching 4 passes for 42 yards and 0 touchdowns, he's not happy about winning, even if they win 13-3.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to him whether his team is winning if he can have success with that team winning. And I agree with your point there. It's sad. But a guy like Juju, who is, he's 22 years old. He's younger than anybody else on this entire football team for the most part. He is not the most mature person out there, but he's gotten this team. He's making great plays. And then what is he doing after the game? As they brought up on the Skip and Shannon Undisputed episodes today. What was he doing? He was kneeling on the field watching to see if the Ravens were to lose that football game because he cared. I don't think anybody else cares. They're just like, here's my paycheck. If you guys can help me have this success, we're going to have this success. If not, I'm getting paid. Because, again, this is all built up on aggression from AB. He's had this for years because it wouldn't just be like, oh, I threw a football, I'm not going to show up for practice. It has to be a continuous strain of there's something I don't like here, there's something I don't like here. Apparently he's going to do a podcast with James Harrison, like an interview or whatnot, and he's going to reveal all the stories that shouldn't be revealed to the public.
Honestly, they're at a crossroads. Like, they need to make a decision fast. They need to do something because this franchise is stuck in a spot where you're going to potentially have your 2 best players who don't even want to play next year.
It's sad. It really is sad.
I understand the anger towards Antonio Brown. Like, I'm not saying that this guy is a team guy because it's very clear that he's not. But I think it's
more Antonio Brown's fault in this instance than Big Ben.
Okay, but Ben Roethlisberger went on his radio show earlier this year and ripped not one person. He ripped his entire offense publicly. And he broke it down. James Washington ran a wrong route. Juju Smith-Schuster ran a wrong route. Offensive line this. James Conner this. When your face of your franchise goes public and rips the team, what do you expect Antonio Brown to do? Like, we get all upset about Antonio Brown, but the face of your franchise is wrecking your franchise. And by the way, he never talked about what he did wrong because he does nothing wrong. It's Todd Haley's fault. It's Mike Tomlin's fault.
To throw that in there, Kevole, this is the guy that basically sat out half a game because he didn't really feel like playing. I mean, there was nothing wrong with him. He blamed his injury on a X-ray machine that's too old and it didn't work. Meanwhile, he's watching the game for about 5 possessions and they lose to the Raiders. If they beat the Raiders and he plays, they're in the playoffs.
I'm more mad. I'm almost more mad at what Mike Tomlin brings to the table because, again, it's been like the same situation. Oh, Mike Tomlin's gotten us to Super Bowl. Oh, Mike Tomlin has given us these great performances. Oh, Mike Tomlin's such a great coach. He's such a great player coach. It doesn't matter if the players run the league. Run your own team. It does not matter what the coach brings because he gives all the control to his other players, and they run the kingdom, basically. So it's a terrible mess that shouldn't happen. Like, honestly,
enables them.
It's really unfortunate. You know the talent that they have here, but at the same point, it's like Jesse James. They're the Kardashians. It is just a public media swirl, right? It's just, oh, here we go. What's next on Keeping Up with the Steelers? What's gonna happen this week? Oh, AB, you're going on Facebook Live. I guess I got to tune into that. Let's see what it is. So. It's sad. And most of these guys are older. You know, Juju is like the most responsible one. He's fucking 22. These other guys, Big Ben's been in the league for, 14 years at this point, and he's still ragging on his own teammates? It's honestly pathetic.
So what's going to happen? Are they going to trade AB, or are they going to keep it together and try and move on?
I think this is, for me, and I know you're going to say I'm ridiculous. I think you got to trade both AB and Ben.
Ben's not getting traded, though.
Of course he's not. Of course he's not, and that's the problem. This guy feels untouchable.
If you trade AB and Ben, why don't you also fire Mike Tomlin? Mike Tomlin is in my opinion, this starts with Mike Tomlin because he enables these players to do stuff like this.
Yep.
This is not happening on a team.
But where do you find a replacement for Mike Tomlin? Because you need a big man.
Get somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think you can just get anybody
Bring in Brian
else.
Flores from the Patriots.
If your goal is to trade Ben and AB, and then you're gonna find
he's a younger Mike Tomlin, essentially.
You're gonna find somebody out there. It's going to be a couple of years to fix this rebuild. It's not, if you're going to get rid of all those people, it's not going to be a 1-year fix. Even if they keep these players in, I think
you can't.
But think about it, Kev. They are all also in a situation where they probably have 1 or 2 more years with Ben, anyways. So with Ben leaving in 1 or 2 years, they're stuck in the same situation in 2 years.
Ben might play till he's 45.
He almost retired mid-season last year because people said he sucked. Yeah, he's not lasting another 5 years. I think what I'm trying to say here is if you're going to trade Ben, you're going to trade Brown, well, you might as well just start it all over because you're going to have to start it all over in 2 years anyways because you're not winning the Super Bowl with Mason Rudolph.
No. Well, and hell, Big Ben's going to rag on Mason Rudolph. I'm not going to help him. I'm not going to coach him up and be a better quarterback than me. Are you kidding me? That's selfish. Like, that's so pathetic on so many levels. I just think you need to start this all over. You realize what the turmoil has been. Le'Veon's going to leave. He's going to get traded somewhere. He's going. So that's one issue. And then you got a guy like AB who's been selfish all over the media. Everybody knows what he's doing. Got to get rid of him. I know it's a lot of money to waste, but get rid of AB and fire Tomlin.
And you're not going to get a lot for him. You're not going to get his. You're not like that's.
No, I wonder what team would even want to get him at this point.
If you were a team, who would you take Antonio?
Depends on the system.
I would say it depends. Yeah, exactly. It depends on where he would go to and how it would fit.
He wouldn't fit in Seattle. He wouldn't fit in San Francisco, but he could fit in the Rams.
Why wouldn't he fit in San Francisco?
I think that
Are you talking about the personality or the player?
The player. I think I don't always look at Antonio Brown. Like, Antonio Brown can run deep routes, but Antonio Brown isn't the guy. He's not going to scare you with his speed. And I do think
the crazy thing about this, Kev, is I feel like Odell's more likely to get traded because he can actually get traded. Well, like Antonio Brown, if they trade him, they're sacrificing a lot of salary cap.
Yeah. Well, and the Giants GM says he is not going to trade Odell, though. He's saying there's no reason we picked him or signed him if we're going to trade him. So, I don't know. It's a very messy situation. It's just sad that I think Tomlin's at the focal point. Just fire Tomlin, and then you got to focus on everything else, I think. Get rid of that shitstorm because he's the one that's in the center.
And also, I know that they have these current issues, but the Steelers are a great place to be the head coach of a football team. Absolutely. They have great ownership. They have a great fan base. They are a historic franchise. They have full support into a football team and program, and they'll be willing to listen to that program and build from the ground up. So if you're a coach, even if you have this whole problem, you probably go in there thinking you can fix it. So even if you fire Mike Tomlin, I'm sure a lot of people would want to coach the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and one of them may be named Tony Dungy.
Tony Dungy.
Tony Dungy.
Well, first of all, he can get out of his Patriots hate by playing them every year and be like, I'm going to focus on playing the Patriots. But also, by the way, I love Tony Dungy. But also, they've only had 3 head coaches in like 50 years. This is a place that's going to get you long-term jobs if you know what you're doing. So,
but you also, if you're the Steelers, what you're hiring for a long-term project. You're not hiring a guy you're not hiring your Steve Wilks. Like, you got to get.
Yeah, but if the goal is to get rid of all these players, you know this is going to be a long time coming. You want to fix this program because it's not working. The system is not. Like, it's so broken that you have to take years to repair it.
The other interesting thing I think with the Steelers going for that I think has been a big struggle is the Steelers were almost in a sense ruthless with their players. If there was a step back, they were done. We were moving on. Now it's loyalty. It's about it. They're keeping like the Browns, the Bells, the Bens a little bit longer maybe than they should. Like, I know Ben's a legend and some, but they've lost that ruthless to be a little bit more loyal, and it's almost stabbing them in the back. In a lot of ways.
We'll end it with this, a great comment from Kevin Durkant. He says, 1 and done to Tim Tebow, no playoffs, 1 and done, lost in the divisional round, beat Matt Moore and Alex Smith and got destroyed by the Patriots, 1 and done to Jags, no playoffs. That's been the Pittsburgh Steelers' recent teams and success level. That's not Steelers-like, and that's how we're going to end it. What do you guys think about the Antonio Brown situation? Do you think it's Ben's fault, Brown's fault, Mike Tomlin's fault? Let us know in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more Bottom Line View. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Peace.